Food trade has rapidly increased since the year 2000, topping $1 billion in 2008. On a global scale, agricultural products are moving from the Western Hemisphere to the Eastern Hemisphere. Before the 1980s, the only major importing regions were in Europe, East Asia, and the former Soviet Union. Europe used its colonies as suppliers of food, but after they became independent countries, former colonies sold food to Europe. Along with East Asia, Southwest Asia and North Africa became net food suppliers in the 1970s. South Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa joined in the 1980s, and finally Central Asia in 2008. Soon after this, international trade was embraced because these regions couldn't keep up with population growth. Japan is the leading country in importing food, followed by the UK, China, and Russia. The USA passed Public Law 480, the Agricultural Trade and Assistance Act, in 1954. The first title of this act gave the sale of low-grain interest rates, and the second title gave grants to needy groups of people. Remains the leading exporter in grain, including about half of the world's maize production, which is corn. Even though this is true, the U.S.'s exports have declined rapidly from about 19% in 1970 to about 11% in the 21st century. The U.S. has continued to increase exports. Developing regions like Latin America and Southeast Asia have a more rapid increase. So opportunities for yield improvement are found in Eastern Europe, Sub-Saharan Africa, and East Asia and South Asia. These maps show the food exports from 1960 to 2010. The graphs will continuously increase, but just before 2010 there is a major spike right there. Sorry. Whoa. Okay. These maps show the trade in agricultural products on the world. Okay, they're the same map, obviously, you can tell, but you can see North America is an export food, and the Asias and over in the East mainly imports food. Yeah. In some areas, farmland is deserted because of lack of water. Desertification happens when human actions cause the farmland to deteriorate into desert-like conditions. This is also known as semi-arid land degradation. This type of land can only support a small amount of pastoral nomads, but because of rapid population growth, this land is commonly being overused. This graph shows how many countries could be producing more crops if they had better nutrients and water management. Population and agricultural land graph that shows how agricultural land and population have grown from the 60s to 2010. Population skyrockets, man. I don't even know what happens there, but it just goes up. And then agricultural land grows a little bit, but not as much as it probably would have if, like, there was less urbanization and people everywhere or whatever, but... Okay. This map. This one shows the degree of hazards. See, around here in Africa, there's some very high hazards. And, we're doing pretty fly up here in the US of A, and over in the East, they have some pretty high hazards, as you can see.
I'm from the Earth Policy Institute, and we estimate that over 5 million acres of land have been degraded.
Okay, I'm from the UN, and We estimate that over 70 million acres of land a year are removed by desertification, which is about the size of Colorado. The UN also estimates that 10% of irrigated land is waterlogged. This happens mostly in Asia and South America. Mesopotamia, the ancient civilization, may have collapsed partially due to waterlogging.
Well, another serious problem is urbanization. In the USA, we estimate that over 500,000 acres of prime agricultural land have been lost due to the spread of urban areas.
Hello, class! Our first question today is opinionated, so you can answer whatever you like. No answer is wrong. What should governments value most when deciding on what farmlands to protect? Prime soils, significant environmental features, or high population growth?
Prime soils.
No, Haley! Raise your hand next time. Haley!
So is the answer significant environmental features in prime soils?
I said no!
Oh. But I thought you said there were no wrong answers.
I said that before you displayed two obvious wrong answers!
No. Well, I'm pretty sure.
I said no! Do you have any nines?
Go fish.
Trying to expand fishing, I see.
I wasn't really.
You know, fishing is the third alternative for expanding the world's food supply. However, in the past, it wasn't used that much as a resource. And oceans take up 3/4 of the world's surface. Water-based food can be obtained in two different ways. Fishing, like this,
Just like this.
just like this, or aquaculture. Aquaculture in the water. Aquaculture can also be called aquafarming, and aquafarming is when the seafood is cultivated under controlled conditions.
Well, you know, that kind of relates to human consumption of fish and seafood products. Over the last 50 years, it's increased from 27 to 110 million metric tons. Most of this is contributed to developing countries. They've actually, because of that, the consumption of fish has actually been faster. The rate has increased faster than population growth. Also, consumption nearly doubled in these same developing countries from 17 to 30.
Per person per day, you say.
You're trying to get out of taking the card from the pile, aren't you?
Maybe.
Alright.
The population of fish has declined because of being harvested.
Oh.
Did you know that most overfishing happens in the North Atlantic and Pacific Oceans?
Nope.
Predatory fish like swordfish and tuna have declined. Their populations have declined by 90%.
Wow, wait,
because of
just by fishing?
Yes! The total catch, even so, has remained about the same since the 1980s, even though the population has grown.
Huh.
Fish are about 1% of calories that humans eat a day.
Only 1%?
Not a day. I mean, just yes, like 1%.
But just 1%? Not
Yes.
on more than
1%.
Huh. Okay. Well, did you know that about 1/4...
You're from the UN, Cass! What? What? No.
I'm from the UN. And did you know that 1/4 of the
Fish's population
has been exploited, or has been overfished, and 1/2 has been exploited? That leaves 1/4 underfished.
Wow. Okay, this is a nice map.
About...
It shows, let's see.
Something about fishing,
It's
I
the
believe.
major fishing regions in the world. So it looks like this might be North America. And
it looks
is
like
this Australia right here? What is this?
South America, probably.
We've got South America right here.
Location-wise, according to
this is
map.
like what? South America.
I believe.
I mean India. I mean no, this is Africa, and this is the East. Some of the major fishing regions are in the Atlantic Ocean. We've got some in the Pacific over here that are major. Some up in the North Atlantic. Down in the South Atlantic, right? And we've got some other various ones scattered about. Some inland ones, but those aren't as common. Finally, our last graph. Okay, this is
Whoa.
this production map here. We've got over 60 million metric tons over in the North Americas. Some below 1 million, but overall, it's all good.